In the second part of section 1.8, we're dealing with the orders of operation. The orders of operation usually work by a saying, which we say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So the P stands for parentheses and all other grouping symbols, parentheses, brackets, that type of thing. E stands for exponents. M, multiplication. D, division. A, addition, and F, subtraction. You'll notice I highlighted multiplication and division. The reason for that is that multiplication and division are actually on the same line. Our little saying kind of puts multiplication first, but technically multiplication and division, I consider them tied. So they are tied, they're on the same level. So what that means is you do multiplication or division, whichever one you see first from left to right. The same can be true about subtraction as well, and addition. Do addition or subtraction, whichever one comes first from left to right. Okay, so let's work a few. We'll start with an easy one and then move harder. My problems say simplify, and my first one is 30 plus 3 times 5 minus 11. So you heard me say plus, times, and subtract. Of that group, times comes first, so I'm going to multiply 3 times 5 and get 15. Everything else I'll just recopy. Just going in order straight across, all we have is addition and subtraction. So if I put these first two together, 30 plus 15 gives me 45. And 45 minus 11 would give me an answer of 34. Okay, my next two are a little tough. So I have 7 squared minus 48 divided by 4 squared times 5 minus 2. I don't see any grouping symbols, so what I have first are exponents. So I'm going to take care of 7 squared and 4 squared. 7 squared is 49. Going across, I'm just going to recopy everything else. Minus 48 divided by 4 squared is 16 times 5 minus 2. Okay, in my next line I have subtraction, division, multiplication, and subtraction. So I see multiplication and division. I'm going to do whichever one comes first from left to right, and that'll actually be division. So 49 is what I have, minus 48 divided by 16 would give me 3. Everything else I'll recopy. What I have next is subtraction, multiplication, and subtraction. So multiplication comes next. So I'd have a 49 minus 3 times 5 would give me 15 minus 2. Working that one across, 49 minus 15 would give me a 34, and 34 minus 2 is 32. And that's my answer. Okay, number 19 works exactly like it, so I'm going to go a little faster through it. You have 6 squared. I'm sorry, I said number 19, but that was the answer. Let me start back over. For the third problem on your sheet, you see 6 squared minus 64 divided by 2 to the fourth times 3 minus 5. Exponents come first in this case, so 6 squared is 36, and 2 to the fourth is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which would give me 16. Everything else I'm just going to recopy. Working to my next line, I have subtraction, division, multiplication, and subtraction. We do multiplication and division as they appear from left to right. 64 divided by 16 would give me a 4. Recopy everything else. 36 minus the 4 times 3 minus 5. At this level, I have minus, times, and minus. So times comes next. 4 times 3 is 12. Recopy everything else. So now I have 36 minus 12 minus 5. 36 minus 12 would give me 24. 24 minus 5 would give me 19, which is the answer I spoke earlier about. Okay, this time let's try some with parentheses. I skipped around a little from your note sheet to pick ones that were similar. Both of these are on your worksheet, letters D and F. Both of these involved parentheses inside other grouping symbols. My first problem is 4, open brackets, 3, open parentheses, 6 minus 11 plus 5. You're going to start at your innermost set of parentheses, which would be the 6 minus 11 part. So this would give you 4, open your brackets, 3, and 6 minus 11 they have different signs, so I subtract and take the sign of the larger. So inside those parentheses, I would have a negative 5, and I can just copy what's left. I still need to work inside the bracket, so I have the 4 I'll just bring down. 3 times negative 5 is a negative 15 plus 5. The brackets are still considered grouping symbols, so we're going to continue to work inside the brackets. So I have 4 times, we have different signs, so I subtract and take the sign of the larger, and that would be negative 10. 4 times negative 10 is negative 40. Looking at our next one, I have 3 minus 2, open the brackets, 8 minus parentheses 4 minus 1. Start at your innermost set of parentheses, which would be the 4 minus 1 part. Recopy everything else. 3 minus 2, 8 minus. Inside the parentheses, we have 4 minus 1, and 4 minus 1 is 3. We still have to work inside the brackets, and inside the brackets, I would get inside the brackets, I would get a 5. Recopying everything else, I would have 3 minus 2 times 5. When I read that aloud, I got 3 minus 2 times 5. Well, I know that times comes first. So that's 3 minus 10. These have different signs, so I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger, and my answer would be negative 7. For my next problem, I have the fraction 3/5 minus 7/10 over 1/2. We talk about P in the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally phrase. The P stands for parentheses, but it also means all other grouping symbols. So I'm going to group the top together and group the bottom together. That means I need to simplify across the top. So to simplify across the top, I need a common denominator. Right now my fractions are 3/5 and 7/10. My common denominator would actually be tenths. So I'm going to turn the first one into a 10. So this gives me 6/10 minus 7/10, which I know is going to be tenths. And across the top, 6 minus 7 would be a negative 1. So I simplified all the way across the top. The bottom was just a 1/2, so I'm just going to carry that over. So I have a negative 1/10 divided by 1/2. The slash there means divided by, but we can also write divided by in a more familiar way, and that's actually just to use your division symbol. So if I rewrote the problem as negative 1/10 divided by 1/2 using the division symbol, this is more usable for us because this is what we did in section 1.7. So what it tells me I can do is say negative 1/10. Remember, the rule tells you to flip the second and change it to multiply. Flip the second and change it to multiply. Now I can reduce. 2 and 10 share a common factor of 2. 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So my answer here would be a negative 1/5. This concludes the first part of the order of operations. If you need more assistance, the third video of this section will show you the rest of the worksheet.